Good January 19th to everyone on Read Through the Word. I am really happy to be here with you like I am every day, that I get the opportunity to teach you or to, I don't like to use that word, facilitate our discussion. And today is no different, even though we are touching and beginning the book of Job. Many of you have read the book of Job with me, and you know the difficulty that it can be to get through it. I want to just tell you from the very beginning, excuse me, I have something in my eye, from the very beginning, that there isn't anything wrong with you if you have a hard time getting through this book. There's not. They're difficult concepts. There's like this, seems like there's these themes that are threading themselves through that are hard for me to get. Honestly, I am not a deep person. I'm really not, and it's hard for me to get some of the thicker themes going on. I mean, I'm just like, give me my nugget and let me go kind of girl. There are so many people that can read and teach a book like this and see things that I cannot see. So I want to encourage you to share your thoughts. Share, hey, this is hard for me. I'm not getting it. And if you have something that would help somebody see a truth, share in the comments section. It's so important to help us navigate through this book. It's like the Gloomy Donkey Eeyore book of the Bible. At least that's what I call it. In fact, I texted Linda the other day and I said, here we Job again. I mean, we've been here many times. So what I want us to do is, I've never started this, the book this way, the teaching of the book this way, but I feel led to do that. And I thought, wow, I wish I would have kind of understood this before I started reading it the very first time. I found a quote by Elmer Smick, and I thought this was interesting. He says, without this prologue, and the prologue is right there at the beginning, 1 through 5. Without this prologue, the Job of the dialogues and the monologues, and that means of all the conversations that you're going to be seeing, there's this conversation, this conversation, so much conversation, so much talking going on with he and his friends. So without this prologue, the Job of the dialogues and the monologues might justly be considered a man with an insufferable self-righteousness. And the reader would be left without a heavenly perspective. And we need to begin the study of this book with a heavenly perspective. We can't read it without those lenses. You can't, because you might think that Job is a self-righteous blowhard, right? That all he's doing is sitting here defending himself, saying, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I've done this, I've done that. And his friends are mean. They're blowhards too. They're sitting here mean, and they're going, you did this, you did this, you did this, you should be doing this, and all that. So we've got to see the heavenly perspective right out of the gate. And I believe that this heavenly perspective that we're going to look at out of the gate as we start studying Job's life will set off the light bulbs in our own life. Seriously. There are heavenly conversations that take place that we are not aware of. This demonstrates that. There's a heavenly court, actually, that comes together and has conversation. Satan is allowed in that conversation. He's allowed to be in there with God. And he's talking to God. If if there's heavenly conversations about Job's life, there are heavenly conversations, I have to believe, about my life, about your life. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to go into a lesson on that, but there's a lot of things going on in the heavenlies that never even touch us, because the battle is not with flesh and blood. Read Ephesians 6. We think it is. And Satan does have his own little minions, his own little workers, whatever you want to call them. I don't dare call them angels, but that are pulling the strings to manipulate certain situations. I believe that, yes. But God has got heavenly armies that are taking care of so many things that we don't even see. I have to thank him often. Thank you, Lord, for protecting me from what I don't see. When I lay my head down at night, I had this battle or I had that battle, but mercy, I don't even want to know. If I had the battles that I had on this earth today, I don't even want to see the battles that you took on for me. All right, so there's conversations in heaven that we don't know of that have to do with the things that are involving us. We have to believe that as we get started. Satan is threatened when God-fearing children do good things. Job was a good man. He was a man of integrity. He was a blameless man. It doesn't mean without sin. But he was a man who walked with God. He feared God. And God blessed him. So we need to understand that Satan is going to be threatened when we are walking right with God. Period. The end. I've been told, Wendy, if you don't feel any demonic attacks, any spiritual battles, then you're probably not shaking the gates of hell with what you're doing. You're no threat to him. That made me wake up. Some people want a life like that. Just let me go about my business. This is my business. My business is the Bible. And I don't mean business as in like making money business. I mean, this is my calling. And my calling is all about this book. And this book is something he hates. And you're reading this book with me. There's your pep talk. God-fearing children doing good things are a threat to Satan. And if he can't get to you, he's going to try to get to the people around you. All right. Satan is a heavenly angelic has-been. We have got to remember that. God threw him out of heaven. He's a has-been. Does he have power? Yes. But one of my favorite sayings that I heard from a local pastor is that he is on a leash. His power is limited. But he does have power. And he has been given to roam the earth to mess with God's good guys or good people. He has. Temporarily. And he's on a leash. And then lastly, this is a great principle that we need to know. That a good guy who does good things, or person, is sovereignly protected by a good God, even when the good guy experiences bad things. Aren't you glad I put that in your notes? So we're doing the good things. We're doing the right things. We're walking in truth. We're shimmying through that narrow gate as best as we can. But we have bad things that happen to us. But we have a sovereign God that is in charge of it all. And we have to remember that. Especially as we move forward. And in fact, we'll probably be reminding you, hey, remember the prologue. Remember the beginning of this book. Job didn't know any of this was by God. But God allowed every bit of it. He does allow this kind of situation in our lives. I don't know why. I have my thoughts, possibly for some refining. Maybe Job had pride. Maybe God didn't like the fact that he made a regular practice of doing sacrifices for his children. I don't know. I don't know Job's heart. I don't know what his sin was. I don't know. Blameless doesn't mean he was without sin. So we have to assume. So maybe there's discipline in certain situations. Maybe there's refining and shaping in certain of our situations. But regardless, we can trust that we have a sovereign God. And I listed a couple verses there for the dark force to use as our defense. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. The prince that's in the charge of the world, the prince of darkness. Who's in me? God himself through the Spirit. And what's in me is greater than anything out here. And I've gone on record before. I speak out loud to Satan. I don't like saying Satan. I don't even like saying his name in my house. But I want his attention, so I say his name. When I want someone's attention, I say their name. My dog's sitting right here. And if I want her attention, I'm going to say her name. So I'm talking directly to him. God talked directly to him. I'm going to talk directly to him too. He cannot read our mind. How do I know that? Because there's only one person ever created, or ever was. God wasn't created. God was. Is omniscient, and that is God, all-knowing. Satan is not all-knowing. So he can't be in my mind knowing what I'm thinking. I can't just will him in my mind to get out of my way. I have to speak directly to him in the authority and the power of God within me. And I do address him quite frequently. Because I know he's trying to mess with me. And I know he's trying to mess with my family through technology, through vehicles, all kinds of ministry attacks come. And I speak right to him. And people think I'm Lulu sometimes. My family does when they're in there. And they walk in and, who you talking to? I'm talking to the devil. I had to have a word with him today. Okay? So there's a power in us. It's greater than he who lives in the world. But he knows, the enemy of this world knows that the power in me is greater. I should know that the power in me is greater, and I should not be afraid to use it. Okay? And then, of course, 2 Timothy 1:7. The Spirit, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us a spirit of power. That's dunamis, power in the Greek, love, and self-control. We have power against the dark forces. Okay, so we need to remember that one thing. I have power over the dark forces. Maybe write that in your notes. And Satan cannot hear me unless I speak out loud to him. And it's just become a way of life. I've said before too that I pray out loud sometimes, because sometimes I do want the devil to know why I'm praying. But sometimes I don't pray out loud. In fact, I don't pray, a lot of my prayers I don't pray out loud. Like my victorious prayers that I'm claiming victory in a situation, I say them out loud. My praises, I say out loud. But a lot of my prayers I don't. Because I don't want the devil to know what I'm praying for. So I keep those to myself, between me and God. There's your start for Job. See you next time on Read Through the Word.